Hello everyone, welcome to our today's session where we will talk about different ways of streamlining and automating your business processes. We are going to cover some common workplace situations where automation could ease your life, and we'll see how Wrike can help you with this. This webinar will last for an hour and we'll end up with a Q&A session. So if you come up with any questions or want to share any use cases, you are more than welcome to direct them to the question box of the webinar interface. Before we dive into the session itself, let me take a quick moment to introduce myself. My name is Irina and I work as a customer success manager here at Wrike. The main goal of my role is to help you use Wrike in the most efficient way. So let us start. Nowadays, automation is something we're used to and sometimes do not even take thought about. We can find examples of it at home, in airports, shopping malls, and other places. Most likely, all of you from time to time dream of the ways to get relief on all these mundane tasks at work. In our Operational Excellence report that we conducted in 2018, we discovered that a whopping 68% of workers felt that 40% of their time was spent on routine tasks, and 38% felt that almost half of their work could be automated. A substantial portion of workers already have a clear idea of what tasks they could start automating now. What about automation in project management? How can it be added and what results should we expect? I assume some of you already have some ideas about streamlining the steps of work you're doing and just looking for the ways to bring them to life. You can add some more structure to this and help yourself with building a report just to see how much you are doing a certain type of work and how long it is taking you. Most likely, you will find out that some of those processes are repetitive, time-consuming, and routine ones. And that is the reason that brings us to the thought about automation. We all want to improve the speed and quality of work, reduce human errors, save time, add visibility, which will all result in boosted performance. The power of automation itself lies in its ability to improve repeatability and predictability of work, thus empowering executives to make more accurate, focused, and strategic long-term decisions. Automation can be tailored to one person's needs and also be customized for teams, departments, and even the whole company. Let us now analyze some of the common situations we experience at work regularly and check how Wrike can help you automate processes. If you're a project manager, you most likely go through the same routine before every meeting. You prepare reports, and oftentimes this turns out to be a time-consuming process of making attempts to collect information which is just scattered all around. And what complicates this even more is that different types of stakeholders have different needs. When you're creating a report for the team, you're more likely to go into more details about the statuses and workload as compared to the stakeholders who want a more general overview of the project's progress. Thought it just can't get any worse? Well, unfortunately it can when suddenly you receive the following message: can I get the status update report in an hour? But don't just panic yet. In Wrike, a report can be created in just one click and get automatically updated every time it is opened. It is possible to build several types of reports depending on the needs of the stakeholder you're about to report. Reports based on projects will serve good in providing the results and updates without going too much into details. Let me demonstrate how this type of a report could look like. I will move to my Wrike demo account now and open reports. Let's take this one, weekly project status. This report provides me with just the general information about the projects that my team is currently running and their current status, so that I could see how many of those projects are progressing well and look at those that require some special attention. Let us quickly have a look at how I built this one. I will click the Edit button here. As you can see, this project is based on this report, is based on projects, right? Because I don't really want to go into details of it. And also I have applied the filter to indicate the statuses that I have the most interest in. A task-based report will provide you with a more granular view into the project. So let us open this type of report as well, just to have a look. This is active tasks by assignee. I built it to have a clear picture of how many tasks each of my team member has in his or her plate and analyze on how well they are progressing in terms of their statuses and the end dates. So if again we will go to this report builder, we will see that I based it on the tasks, also applied some specific filters and have chosen the time frame that makes interest for you. I can also change the layout for this report and have the visualized version of it, so that it's easy for me to discuss that at the meeting and see in the graph on how well each of the team member is progressing with the work. A great thing what you can do when we speak about reports is that you can subscribe to a report by clicking on this button and automatically receive an updated version of it on the designated day and time. So having this arranged will ensure you have the necessary information collected and grouped in a proper way just when needed and done with a couple of clicks. When we talk about automation in terms of reports, it means that you no longer need to create reports from scratch, right? You already have the frame, the skeleton for it, and you get an updated version of it right in your inbox on the day and time when you require it. Okay, so let's move on with another example. In our company, we run roundtables once a week to discuss some burning topics and share best practices and experiences. And these meetings always happen on the very same weekday. When we look at this situation from the manager's standpoint, we realize that this process requires quite a number of organizational steps, all of which get repeated on a regular basis as the date of the new meeting is approaching. How to make sure that everyone is notified about the meeting and is aware of the agenda, and how to centralize the outcomes of the meeting and keep the recordings and materials in one place. Let's have a look at a simple way to do this. Wrike enables you to set recurrency to particular tasks and have a necessary call to action automatically created with the desired frequency. Let's move to my demo account again. I have arranged a folder with the meetings for my marketing team. Here is it. And this is the place where I will keep all my roundtable meetings. I have already created a task for the meeting that we're going to have today. Here is it. I have added all my teammates as the assignees of this task and have filled in the description with the agenda and then the later possibility to add notes and populate it with the action items when the meeting is over. Now I want to make Wrike create the same type of a meeting in the regular basis. So what I'm going to do is to make this task recurrent. In order to do this, I will click on this triple dot and choose Make Recurrent. I'm able to set the type of recurrency. I want it to be created weekly, once a week on Wednesdays. So this is the day when we hold these meetings. And also I will create one meeting upfront, just so that I could populate it with the necessary pieces of agenda for the next time. So now I click Save. And as you can see, the task became recurrent, right? Here we have this icon indicating it. And it means that every week, Wrike will automatically create this similar task, a copy of this task, but for the necessary date. And this task will also contain the same agenda. You will just need to populate it, and all the assignees, all the teammates will be notified about the meeting beforehand and will be able to add some additional topics to discuss and leave comments. And also those who didn't manage to attend the meeting will also have and know where to search for the outcomes, where to refer in order to get the details of it. Let us move on. Everyday teams work on tasks which all refer to several projects. But have you ever thought how much of those projects contain the steps that your team has never performed before? Well, not that many, I assume. And even if the details are different, the steps needed to produce the final result are most likely the same. And this one more time brings us back to realization of the repetitive nature of the majority of processes we are running. Onboarding newcomers, writing a blog, implementing software, arranging newsletter. For each type of those processes, we can highlight the steps we go through. And creating the same type of a project every time from scratch means waste of time and inevitable possibility for errors. There is an easy way to ensure consistency of such processes and increase the team's efficiency. Templates. The benefits of using them cannot be underestimated. They help you to save time and get started on work faster, which means that you no longer spend time on creating projects from scratch, but just launch them from a preset model in just a few clicks. They leave no room for human error because all the necessary steps, recommendations, resources are all taken into account beforehand and are already included in the flow. And finally, they help you to standardize and add consistency to your processes because all the components of work are properly structured and interconnected from the very beginning. Let's have a look at an example with the content team, which runs projects on content design and development for different customers. Just a second. Here is the template for this particular type of a project, and all the actionable steps are presented here as tasks and thus form the frame of our project, right? The skeleton. And also all those tasks are interconnected with the necessary type of dependencies. Just a second, I will demonstrate it. And this is done to ensure that all those tasks, all those actions are taken in a proper order. Also, dependencies add an extra level of automation here. When the previous task gets completed, the assignee of the next one receives a notification that the task is now ready to be taken into work. And also, I wanted to share a couple of small tips about built-in templates. You can actually assign the tasks right in the template if some of the steps are always performed by the same people. But in this case, please do not forget to change the status for those tasks to deferred so that the assignees do not receive any notifications. We also advise to keep templates in a designated templates folder so that they are separated from active work. So as you can see, I have this templates folder here, right? And it contains the folders for each team templates. Earlier, I have promised that you can start on a new project in just a few clicks with the help of a template. So now it's time to demonstrate it. Click 1. I right-click on the necessary template and choose Duplicate. Now I will need to give a proper name to my project. Let it be a design and development for Mars. I will place it to the necessary folder. Yeah, for the necessary team folder. Let it be creative. And also I want to add the task name prefix. Let it be Mars. This will ease the life of my teammates because they will understand which customer the task within the project refers to from just the very first glance. And also I will reschedule my project based on the last task and date. This needs to be done by April 23rd, let's say. And the last click here, which is the third one, is Duplicate. So what happens is that the project is created at the designated folder, and all the key components like dependencies, which are saved here, I will demonstrate it to you. Yeah, here are they. Task duration and assignees, if you have added them at the template level, or simply copied over. So just 3 clicks and you got started on a template. Okay, let's move on now. During the work week, we keep receiving requests from all kinds of different sources. Our team members, colleagues from other teams and departments, and also external stakeholders. And the channels those requests arrive through also vary. Calls, emails, they can also emerge as the actionable results of the meetings you participate in. As the number of the incoming requests keeps growing, it becomes more and more challenging to process them. And what is also very inconvenient is that these requests keep arriving in all kinds of different formats. It is often the case when the automation, the information provided is insufficient to process the request, so a need arises to come back to the requester and confirm and search for all the missing pieces and details. The more requests you get, the more time-consuming and repetitive this process becomes. Wrike request forms can trigger a task or a project creation in a predetermined folder. They become even more powerful when used in combination with templates. In this case, the tasks can be already assigned to the team members responsible for working on them. And when the form is submitted, thus triggering new work creation, all the assignees receive notifications from the Wrike bot, making it just impossible to miss the items that require their attention. You can go even further and create a dynamic request form, which will enable you to tag the items created into specific folders, depending on the answers of the requester. So you will not spend your time on tagging anymore. Wrike will do it for you automatically. Let us have an example. Yeah, let's have a look at it. I will go to account management because, as you know, probably the possibility of creating request form is the admin right? So I go to account management now and open the list of request forms. Let us open block request form to have a look at it. Okay, as you can see, this form is made external, which means that it can be also submitted by the customers of my company, right? The outside users, those people who are not members of my Wrike workspace. And also the submission of this form triggers a project creation from template, which is set right here, which means that this project will already have the necessary actions to be taken and people responsible for them. Questions in the request form itself help the requester to provide all the necessary information for me to work on the project, so that I won't have to get back to the requester later to confirm any of the missing details. Also, the customer's name is mapped or added as a prefix to all the tasks within the project, just again to make it easier to identify, right, which project, which customer the task refers to. And also the project gets automatically scheduled by Wrike, depending on the customer's preferred end date. Now let us try to fill out this form and have a look at how the project looks like. So I will open the link now. By the way, I wanted to mention that those external links can not only send over to the customers of yours, they can be also embedded to your website so that the customers have access to it right from the website when they're searching for it. Okay, so let us fill it out real quick. Change management tricks. Let's imagine that this is the title of the blog that I want to have. The customer is Morris. I want it to be done by the end of April. And number of symbols, let it be 10,000. Okay, now I submit this form. And I go back to my Wrike account and switch back to the workspace. Let us see how this project will look like. Okay, all the incoming requests are placed into a corresponding folder in my marketing team, which is called Request Inbox. And here is the project, the creation of which was triggered by the submission of this form. And as you can see, this is an absolutely ready to work on project, right? It has all the tasks, all the assignees here, all the information, and all the dependencies. So everything is just collected in a single place, accessible place, yes, and organized properly so that the people are synced from the very beginning. The next topic or the next feature that I wanted to talk to you about is user groups. With the growth of your team, it might become difficult to make sure those new people get access to all the necessary resources, like folders and projects within Wrike. And that also becomes time consuming when you have a bunch of folders to be shared and then have to share each of those one by one with the necessary person. Well, there is a super easy way to relieve yourself from this and save some more time on the other activities that you have, and also make sure all the necessary information can be easily accessed by the newbie. With the help of the user groups in Wrike, manual sharing for each user will no longer be needed. And also a lot of time will be saved for the other activities you have, as I have previously mentioned. And also the human error when, for example, you forgot to share some of the folders because there are too many of them, is also minimized. Let's have a look at a way for you to automate sharing in Wrike with the help of user groups. We switch to the demo account and go to account management. Here is the user tab, right? And at the left corner, there is the possibility to add groups. As you have already noticed, I have created a number of groups here. Yeah, if you want to create a new one, you just need to click on this plus button here, give a name to your group, add members, and then click create. So once your user groups are created, you can start sharing items with them. Let me demonstrate to you how this can be done now. Just a second, let us wait till the page loads. I apologize, the internet connection today in the office is not very fast. So yeah. Okay, let's imagine that I want to share the marketing folder with the marketing user group that I have created. Yeah. I click on the shared with button here, and now I can not only share this folder with the individual users, I can just start typing the name of the necessary user group, choose it, and then all the people, yeah, all the members of this group will have access to this particular folder. And moreover, every time a new user is added to a group, he or she will automatically get access to all the necessary folders and projects, right? So you won't have to share this list of folders that you have with this person. You will just need to add this person to the necessary user group, and that's it. So again, just a couple of clicks, and then Wrike will do everything for you. Okay. The last thing that I wanted to talk to you about is approval processes and managing them. Approvals are necessary at almost every company. Creative projects, marketing initiatives, budgets, purchase orders, and many other work items go through the stage of approval on their way to completion or launch. And oftentimes this process causes a lot of frustration. Imagine this, you were to approve some bit of work, but appeared not to have done this. And in the attempts to figure out why this hasn't been done in time, you find out that this email simply got lost in a pile of all the other emails that you have received. And besides, the email thread, when you check it, appears to be so long and contains so many versions that you no longer understand what exactly needs to be approved. Situations like this inevitably cause numerous problems and drastically affect teams' productivity and business performance. And oftentimes, sign-off process takes more time than the work item creation itself, which results in serious delays for the project launch. Wrike can greatly help you to add structure to your approval process and automate it. Start with outlining those stages of work that are dependent on another person and make a list of all possible approvers for each of those stages. And then when it's done, once you have highlighted them, you can proceed with building your custom workflow in Wrike and reflect all your approval process statuses here. So let us have a look at how I arranged it in my account. I now switch to workflow tabs in account management and open approval workflow. I have already populated it with the necessary statuses, with the necessary approval process statuses. And here I have waiting for team lead approval, approved by team lead, waiting for managing director approval, approved by managing director, and also a couple of additional statuses like changes required and rejected. Approval statuses in Wrike can be auto-assigned to particular people to make sure that those whose assistance is required are notified in time. So as you can see, Dom is the team lead, right? So I have added him as the additional assignee for this task. So when the task status is changing to waiting for team lead approval, Dom will be added as the assignee for this task and will be added to proceed with the next steps. And the same action I performed with the status waiting for managing director approval, right? Bill is the managing director, so I have added him as the auto assignee for this status. You can also limit the status options available for approvers by setting a fixed workflow so that they do not get lost in the list of all the possible status options within a given workflow. This will help you to automate the process of approval, right, by providing these possible steps and also exclude the possible error. So when you click on the status, down below under the possibility to auto assign a status, yeah, you can also set the list of the possible transitions from this status. So you just need to start typing the name of the necessary status, and it will get added here in the list. So when Dom, yeah, receives a task which he needs to approve, he will see only 3 possible statuses for him to switch to. Once your workflow is built, once it is applied to the necessary folders and the teammates start using it, you will then can create a dashboard to see at any given time where each task in the process is, and monitor in real time those approvals that need attention. Let me demonstrate how this dashboard could look like in just a second. So yes, here is it. Yeah, it makes it even greater use, since you can create widgets for the particular approvers that you have. Right here I have one for the team leader and one for the managing director. So every time they open this dashboard, they can check all the pending approvals for them and proceed with the next actions. And once they're ready to approve, they can just drag the necessary task to the approved by team lead or a managing director widget. So that is pretty much what I wanted to cover today during this session. So now let me check what questions you have added. Just a second. Okay, we have a question from Ella. What does board view look like within a limited workflow or a project folder with mixed workflows? Okay, thank you very much for your question. Let me switch to the demo account and open one of the projects to demonstrate it to you. Okay, let it be this one. When we switch to the board view, yeah, basically it represents the boards with the statuses from the workflow that is applied to this particular folder or project. So here you will be able to see the tasks which have some particular status, and also will be able to drag the tasks from one bucket to another, and thus changing the status for them. Hopefully I did cover this one. Thank you very much, Ella. Okay, let me check further. We have a question from Clint. Are approvals the only way to prevent tasks from being completed early? For example, out of order. Could you please clarify this for me so that I could provide the better explanation here? Thank you. Okay, just a second. I think we had one more question from Ella. Let me check. Okay, yes. Wait, did I just see that dashboards function the same as board view, or specifically that approvals dashboard? I don't think I've seen that before. So the thing is that the board view will provide you with a list of all the statuses within a particular workflow, but on the dashboard, you can build widgets based on just the specific statuses that you need to check on. And also in the board view, you will be able to see only those tasks that are residing in the folder or project from which you have opened in this board view. But in the dashboard, you can choose the parent folder. Yeah, you can see the tasks having a particular status, and all those tasks can refer to different projects and folders. That will be the difference here. Thank you very much for being active, Ella. Okay. Okay, we have a question from Heather. When creating a template, can each task be set to start X days from a date certain, as opposed to putting in a date certain for each task? I think I didn't quite understand your question. Could you please clarify this for me? Like paraphrase it a bit? Okay, let us check further. Okay, we have a question from Clint. How can tasks or workflows be set up so that they may only be completed in order and not completed before or prior dependent task? Okay, thank you very much for your question, Clint. Let us open one of the projects again, just a second. Let it be this one, and switch to the Gantt chart. From here, you can set up, all the tasks here have their dependencies. In my case, these are finished to start ones, which means that once the previous task gets completed, the next one is starting. But you can set the date constraints here just to decide when the next task can start, right? Here, as you can see, when I move this task, this little blue bar appeared, which means that once a copywriting task is completed, the copy editing will not be able to start until this date. So hopefully I did cover this bit. Okay, let me check further. We have some clarification from Ella. My question is how it changes if your workflow is fixed, limited, such that from a given status, you can only go to some other statuses. My question was how that would work or look. I also know you can have different workflows for different tasks in a project, and was curious what that would look like. Yeah, thank you very much for your question. So as I have previously said, when you made the workflow fixed, every time the person gets assigned on a particular status, so let us try to check this. Let us change the status here to the approval. Okay, and when this status is chosen, and when I click and want to change it, I will see that only 3 statuses available for me here. Although you have seen that there are much more statuses in this list. So this is how the fixed workflow looks like on the level of a task, when the person has a limited option list for them. And yes, you're right, within one project, when necessary, yes, of course, ideally, you apply some particular workflow to a particular project or folder. But of course, sometimes that may happen so that you need to apply another workflow for a particular task, right, within the project. That can be easily done when you click on the status. You can change any workflow that you have on the account and choose the necessary status here. So as I have said, on the board view, you have only one specific workflow that is applied to these project or folder. So the best way for you, in case when you have different workflows within one project, is to build a dashboard, right? Because it provides you with the possibility to apply multiple filters simultaneously on the tasks that you're working on, on the list of those tasks. Okay, hopefully I did cover this one, and let us move further. Okay, so we have a question from Heather. So if a meeting is on the 1st of April, can the subsequent task be set 5 days from meeting date, 10 days from meeting date, etc. So that as I duplicate the template, I could just put in the meeting date and all other task dates would populate based on that meeting date. The thing is that when you make a task recurring, just a second, here is it. Yeah, you can change how often this recurrency will be created. Yeah, and if the frequency is daily, yes, you can repeat it every 5 days, every 10 days, and so on. And once the copy of the task will be created, right, because recurrency is basically duplication of a task, those tasks will have the description of the task which you made recurrent. So all the additional details will need to be added manually, right, depending on the goals of the meeting that you will conduct, depending on the topics that you're about to discuss. Okay, let us check the other questions that have been added. We have a question from Margaret. What if you have tasks that are moving in parallel on the Gantt chart? How can that be reflected? Thank you very much for your question. And let us again open the Gantt chart to see how this works. Okay, so as far as I understand, you want 2 tasks, right, to be in progress simultaneously. So they will stand one under another. And in this case, I would suggest that you use either start to start dependence or finish to finish, right? So that they could either start on the same date and be worked on in parallel, right, at the same time, or can finish on the same date, depending on your needs, on your goals. Okay, we have a question from Laura. Please show the different statuses for the approval workflow so I can capture what you're using. Sure, let me open the account management tab. So this is just a dummy workflow that I have created, but yeah, I will be glad if this will serve for you as an example, as a good example. So basically all the workflows in Wrike are consisting of 4 status buckets: active, completed, deferred, and cancelled. And active and completed buckets should always have at least 1 status in them, while deferred and cancelled can be just left empty if you do not need them in this particular workflow. So this workflow contains mostly of the approval statuses, right? Waiting for approval of different members of the team. And by the way, for example, if you have several people that need to approve some bit of work one after another, you can create a separate status for each of those people, just like this. Yeah, for example, I don't know, pending Mark approval, then pending Tom approval, and so on. So every time, for example, Mark approves the task is then moved to Tom. Yeah, just don't forget to auto assign those statuses to those people. And in this case, you will set the necessary order in which the approvals will be done, right? And apart from these approval statuses, yeah, I have also added the completed campaign, active campaign, and under development status, so that they could reflect the whole cycle of a project in terms of the work on that. So hopefully that did present a picture to you of how you could set it up in your account. Okay, let us move further. Okay, so we have a question from Catherine. How were you dragging tasks in between statuses earlier? How can we set this up? Thank you for your question. I will be glad to demonstrate it to you. So let us move further. Let us move back, sorry, to the workspace. Just a second. I demonstrated to you on the dashboard, so let us open this one. Yeah, in this case, yeah, this dashboard is built based on like each widget within this dashboard is built based on a particular status from the workflow, which means that when you drag a task from one status widget to another, you automatically change the status for it. So that's just, you click on the necessary task and then, just a second, and then you drag it right onto the necessary status widget. And as you can see, Wrike will inform you that by doing this, you will change the status of the task. And if that's what you need, yeah, just release your mouse and the task will be drop right into the necessary status. And if you open now this task, just a second, you will see that it has this particular status, right? I have just changed it. And you can drag tasks from one widget to another, just all over around here. Okay, so hopefully I did cover this one. Thank you very much. Okay, let us see what other questions we have here. We have a question from Laura. What does it mean when you have 3 different statuses under one status? Thank you very much for your question, Laura. Let us move back to the account management to have a look at it. We will open the approval workflow. Yeah, those 3 statuses means that for this particular status, I have arranged a fixed workflow, right? I have locked the possible transitions here because when a person is working on a task without the locked status transitions, this person is able to see all the tasks from this particular workflow. But you can limit the number of options visible to people by setting these fixed transitions. So just select the necessary status and here type in the necessary statuses that you want to be visible under, like as the possible options to change from this status, right? So these options, these possible statuses can be chosen from the workflow that you're now working on. So that is it. Yeah, as I have previously demonstrated, when Dom will be assigned to a task, he will only be able to see these 3 statuses: approved by team lead, changes required, and rejected. He will not be able to see any other statuses from this workflow. Thank you very much for your question, Laura. Okay, we have a question from Ella. What does Wrike determine your team for the My Team shared dashboard? Your team for the, could you please elaborate on this one so that, yeah, I could just understand what you're looking here for? Because in Wrike, My Team, yeah, when something is shared with My Team, it means that this item gets shared with all the regular users on the accounts. Yeah, so if that's what you're talking about, if you want to share something like a dashboard with all the regular users, you can just share it with My Team and all of them will be included here. Okay. Let me check further. Yeah, I see that Susan also asked the question about the fixed workflow, right, about the limitation. So I hope that previously I did cover this part for you as well. Ella has added a clarification here. There is a pre-built dashboard called My Team Shared, and I didn't know who my team is because it's empty. To be honest, I don't remember that we have this pre-built widget. Let me just check. Okay, so I'll click New Widget, Tasks, my status, my to-do day, overdue task. Well, yeah, I don't see this particular widget in the list of preset ones. Maybe this dashboard that you're talking about was created by someone else in your account and was shared with my team. Could that be the case? Could you please, check that out a bit and provide some more details so that I could assist you further with that, okay, Ella? Okay, so let's move further and see what else we have. We will be able to cover just a couple of more questions now. Okay, so we have a question from Paula. Our emails go under the customers, so I'm not sure if this can work. We don't just send them into one folder. Just a second. How do you bulk complete that? Didn't really get the part with the emails. Could you please elaborate on this one? Like, could you please describe the process that you want to establish in Wrike so that, I could suggest some features and processes that could help you with that. Okay, we have a question from Jacqueline. I came late to the webinar. Is there a recorded version? This webinar is being recorded right now, so please expect it to appear on our webinar page. Let me just open it to show. Here is it. I will copy it and send it to the chat so that everyone has access to it. Just a second. So here is the link that you can use in order to search for all the recorded versions of the webinar. So this webinar will appear tomorrow at this page, within the next 24 hours. And also this is the place where you can go to get registered on all the webinars that are coming in future. So just please feel free to do that. Okay, so we have time to answer the last question for today. We have a question about the rejected statuses, right? In case the task is rejected, is there a space to write the reason and comments? I would suggest that when the task is rejected, this person could just mention the assignee of the task on the task level and add all the comments there, right? So that this person is notified in his or her inbox immediately and can proceed with the necessary steps here, right? And have a look into that. So hopefully I did manage to cover this. If you don't know how to mention those people, you just need to open the necessary task and I'd mention the person just like this. Add an @ sign, choose the person, and type in the necessary comments. Everything that needs to be improved in this bit of Wrike. Okay then, so we are now ready to close this session. I will check that. I think that I did manage to cover all the questions, but I will double check it to make sure that none of them were missed. If there is a case, I will get back to you in an email, so don't worry. Thank you all for joining this session and spending time together with me. Hopefully that you didn't find this session helpful and this will bring value to your business processes. Thank you so much and hope to see you on the future Wrike webinars. Thank you. Goodbye.